Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling, well, a pretty huge topic, trying to live a healthy life.
Yeah, we've gone through a ton of sources on health, lifestyle, all that stuff.
And our mission really is simple. We want to pull out the core blueprint, the actionable stuff for feeling good,
Yeah,
without drowning you in information.
exactly. For you, we're aiming to cut through the fads, the endless diets, and just deliver the practical essence of well-being.
And really reject that old image, right? The one where health means suffering and, constant deprivation.
Totally. That punishing approach.
Yeah, I love that shift. The big idea from, pretty much all our sources is that a healthy lifestyle is about enhancement. It's not punishment.
It's about boosting your capacity for life, having more energy, supporting your overall well-being.
Which means physical and mental health working together in harmony.
And because it's all connected, you kind of need a structure, right, to make sense of it.
Makes sense.
So that's why we're borrowing the framework from the sources, the 5 pillars of wellness. It gives you clear areas to focus on, the ones that actually make a difference.
Okay, let's dive in. First 2 pillars, they're about physical input and output, fuel and movement. So, pillar 1, mindful eating.
And notice that phrasing, mindful eating. It's explicitly not dieting. That's really the key difference here.
Okay.
The goal is to build a healthier relationship with food, a sustainable one, paying attention to what your body actually needs, and importantly, enjoying food without all that guilt that dieting tends to pile on.
So, okay, if we ditch the calorie counting for, self-awareness,
Yeah.
what does that actually look like day to day? The sources mention this autopilot thing.
That's where the power lies, really. Most of us, maybe 90% of the time, we're just on autopilot with food, grabbing something because it's there or, because it's lunchtime.
Right. Habit.
Mindful eating is just that pause, asking yourself, hang on, am I actually hungry? Or am I reaching for this for some other reason?
And that other reason. That's often what gets called emotional eating, isn't it? Using food for stress or boredom or feelings.
Precisely. And when you practice being mindful, you start to notice the connection, like a direct physical link between what you eat and how you feel afterwards.
Ah,
So
interesting.
you naturally start leaning towards, say, the energy you get from a good, nourishing meal, rather than that sluggish crash after something super processed. Kind of self-corrects over time.
Okay, so to talk the talk, let's quickly cover some essential nutrition terms from the sources, just the basics.
Yeah, good idea. So you've got your macronutrients, carbs, proteins, fats. Those are the big 3. Energy building blocks for the body.
Got it.
Then there are micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, needed in smaller amounts, but absolutely essential. Think vitamin C, iron, stuff like that. You need both.
And the simplest rule that kept coming up, favoring whole foods, stuff closer to its natural state over heavily processed foods.
Right. And avoiding empty calories. Foods that give you energy, but basically zero nutritional value, like soda or candy.
What about superfoods? They're everywhere. Acai, kale.
Yeah. Well, the sources generally caution that superfoods is often, let's say, more marketing than science.
Huh.
The advice is usually, don't chase the latest trendy berry. Focus on variety, color, balance. Just getting a good mix of whole foods.
Right, makes sense. Okay, so that's the fuel.
Right.
It's amazing how much focus goes there, but the sources really stress that the other side of the coin is what we do with that fuel.
Which brings us perfectly to pillar 2, movement as medicine.
Movement as medicine. I like that framing.
Yeah, it's a direct challenge to that old school high pressure gym culture. The idea is that movement should heal you, energize you, and be something you can actually stick with.
So ditching the whole no pain, no gain thing.
Absolutely. Modern fitness science has pretty much rejected that. It's seen as counterproductive, even toxic sometimes.
Instead, the emphasis seems to be consistency beats intensity every single time.
That's the mantra. Find ways to move that you actually enjoy, that feel good.
And the sources had some good examples of this, like tailoring movement.
Yeah, really specific stuff, like if you've got chronic back pain, maybe swimming or water aerobics where the water supports you.
Right. Low impact.
Or if anxiety is a major thing for you, yoga or Tai Chi are often highlighted. They cleverly mix the physical movement with that mindfulness aspect.
And dancing. Just for fun.
Oh yeah, pure mood booster. Floods your system with endorphins, those feel-good chemicals. It's medicine.
Okay, the most practical concept for everyday life seemed to be functional fitness. Can you elaborate on why that's maybe more important than just training for looks?
Functional fitness is all about training your body to do real-life stuff better. It's not about aesthetics. It's about functioning well.
So they light.
Like doing squats helps you lift heavy things correctly. Balance exercises help prevent falls, especially as you get older. Core strength helps your posture when you're sitting all day.
Ah, I see. So if an exercise doesn't really help you carry groceries or tie your shoes easier, maybe it's not the top priority.
Exactly. It makes the why much clearer. And another term that often gets misunderstood is active recovery.
Right. That's not just sitting on the couch on your off days.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Active recovery is about gentle movement, like a walk, some light stretching. It keeps the blood flowing, helps muscles repair, reduces soreness. It's better than just stopping completely between harder workouts.
Makes sense. And just quickly, for workout terms, the sources mention cardio, obviously.
Yep, gets the heart pumping. And strength or resistance training for building muscle.
They also brought up HIIT, high-intensity interval training. What's the quick take on that?
HIIT is noted mainly for its efficiency. Short bursts of maximum effort, then brief rest. The key insight: you don't always need an hour. 15 minutes of really focused, high-quality movement can give you significant benefits.
Good to know. Okay, moving on to the next set of pillars. These focus more on restoration and resilience. Pillar 3, restorative sleep. And the sources were absolutely unanimous on this one, weren't they?
Oh, completely. Sleep is non-negotiable. It's the foundation. It's not passive time. It's when your brain cleans itself out, your body repairs tissues, memories get consolidated.
And if you skimp on sleep,
Everything else suffers. Your diet choices, your energy for movement, how you handle stress.
yeah.
It all takes a hit immediately.
So the practical fix is good sleep hygiene, which is basically the routines in the environment that tell your body, okay, time to power down.
Right. And the first hurdle for many people is understanding the circadian rhythm, our internal body clock.
And how we mess it up with blue light from screens.
Exactly. Phones, tablets, computers. That blue light basically tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. It directly suppresses melatonin, the hormone you need to feel sleepy.
So the big countermeasure everyone recommends is the digital sunset.
Precisely. Turning off those screens, ideally 1 to 2 hours before bed, let your melatonin levels rise naturally, and your environment is huge too. Create a sleep sanctuary.
Meaning?
Cool, dark, quiet. And crucially, use the bedroom only for sleep and intimacy. No work emails in bed, no doom scrolling.
Right. For people who really struggle, maybe with insomnia, finding it hard to fall asleep or stay asleep, what non-medication tips came up?
Things like progressive muscle relaxation, where you tense and then release different muscle groups, can be surprisingly effective. Or using sleep meditation apps or recordings.
The main goal being to avoid chronic sleep debt, right? That buildup of lost sleep that really messes with your thinking.
Yeah, that cumulative effect is what you want to prevent.
Okay, so from physical rest to mental fortitude. Pillar 4 is stress resilience. And the idea here isn't avoiding stress, but handling it better.
Absolutely. Life is going to throw curveballs. Stress happens. Resilience is about building your capacity to cope.
And we need to distinguish between different types of stress.
Yes, there's beneficial stress, eustress, that's like the focused energy you get before a presentation or a race. It can actually help performance.
Okay.
But then there's chronic stress, that constant grinding pressure. That's the one that's really damaging to health long term.
And chronic stress leads directly to burnout, which the sources define as like deep physical and emotional exhaustion. What are some signs people should watch out for?
A big one is decision fatigue, where even tiny choices feel overwhelming because your mental battery is just completely drained.
I think we've all felt that.
Oh, yeah. Another key indicator is compassion fatigue, losing the ability to empathize or care for others. You often see this in helping professions, but it can happen to anyone under prolonged stress.
So to build resilience, step 1 is figuring out your personal stress triggers. What sets you off?
Exactly. And step 2 is consciously choosing healthy coping strategies instead of what the sources call maladaptive coping.
Which would be things like
Excessive drinking, maybe overeating, withdrawing completely, procrastination, things that feel like a fix in the moment but make things worse later.
So what are the healthy strategies?
Things we can actively practice. Mindfulness meditation, even just 5 minutes. Journaling to get thoughts out of your head. Simple breathwork techniques like box breathing, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Even quick grounding techniques. Like when you feel overwhelmed, just stop and name 5 things you can see, 4 things we can touch, 3 things you can hear. It pulls you back to the present.
And crucially, the sources really hit home the importance of social support here. Being isolated makes stress worse.
Which leads us perfectly to our final pillar. And you could argue this one underlies all the others. Pillar 5, meaningful connections.
The data here is pretty stark, isn't it? Some studies equate chronic loneliness with smoking like 15 cigarettes a day in terms of health risk.
It's that serious. It signals that connection is a fundamental human need, like food or water.
And the emphasis is on quality relationships, not just having a lot of contacts.
Exactly. Quality over quantity. And the sources define quality by a few key things. Emotional safety, feeling you can be yourself without judgment. Reciprocity, a mutual give and take. And just authentic connection, feeling genuinely seen and understood.
We need different kinds of connections too, right? Not just romantic partners.
Definitely. Intimate partnerships, sure. But also strong friendships, family bonds, even community connections. Finding your people. Maybe having accountability partners for goals or confidants you can really open up to.
And building those deep connections, it requires something that can feel difficult. Vulnerability.
Yeah, that's the core of it. Brené Brown talks about this a lot. The courage to show up imperfectly. That's what allows real intimacy to develop.
But to maintain your own well-being within those relationships, you also need boundaries.
Absolutely essential. Which brings up that classic empty cup idea. People sometimes confuse self-care with being selfish.
Right, but the sources draw a clear line.
Self-care isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's scheduling that time, even if it's just 15 minutes for a walk or reading, so you actually have something to give. You can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself allows you to show up better for others. It's permission, not selfishness.
So practical tips for nurturing these connections, things like active listening, really hearing people, not just waiting to talk.
Yes. Empathy. Trying to understand their perspective, practicing gratitude, maybe telling people what you appreciate about them. Shared experiences help too.
Okay, we've covered the 5 pillars. Now let's shift to maybe the most practical bit for you listening. The science of actually making changes stick. The behavior change piece.
Because knowing what to do is one thing, right? Doing it consistently is another challenge entirely.
This is where we move beyond relying on just motivation, which comes and goes,
Totally unreliable.
and start building discipline through systems and routines.
And to build a system, you need to understand the basic structure of any habit, the habit loop. Every single habit follows this pattern.
Okay, break it down.
It needs 3 things. A cue, that's the trigger. A routine, that's the actual behavior. And a reward, the benefit you get from it.
Can you give a quick example of a full loop?
Sure. Let's say you want to stretch daily. The cue might be putting your work bag down when you get home. The routine is immediately rolling out your yoga mat and doing 5 minutes of stretching. The reward is that feeling of relief in your muscles. Maybe a little mental check mark like, I did something good for myself.
And if you take away the cue or the reward,
The loop breaks down. The habit usually falls apart.
the sources also warned against relying just on willpower because of decision fatigue.
Right. Decision fatigue is real. Your ability to make good choices literally gets worn out over the course of the day. Willpower is a finite resource.
So the workaround is environmental design.
Exactly. Make the healthy choice the easiest choice, the path of least resistance. Put your running shoes right by the door. Don't keep junk food in the house if that's your weakness. Set yourself up for success.
And the most specific technique for dealing with predictable challenges, implementation intentions.
This is powerful. It's basically a pre-planned response to a trigger. And if X happens, then I will do Y statement.
Give me an example.
If I feel overwhelmed by emails at 3 p.m. X, then I will stand up, walk away from my desk, and take 5 deep breaths before responding. It takes the decision-making out of the stressful moment.
Smart. And because we all mess up sometimes, setbacks happen. The crucial mindset is self-compassion.
Yes. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend who slipped up. Instead of beating yourself up, which is self-sabotage, and usually leads to giving up completely.
The mantra being progress over perfection.
Always. Small steps, consistently, are way more effective than trying to be perfect and then crashing.
Okay, quick gear shift. Let's make sure you can actually talk about this stuff casually, some practical phrases. If you're tired or sick,
You might say you're feeling run down, or maybe feeling a bit under the weather, or about fitness, I'm in shape, or out of shape,
food,
I'm watching what I eat, or I'm trying to cut back on sugar, for instance.
exercise, getting sweaty.
I'm working up a sweat, or pushing myself, maybe feeling the burn.
And for mental state, stress.
I'm so stressed out, or I'm feeling totally burned out, or maybe I really need to decompress, or I'm trying to practice more self-care. Just handy ways to describe where you're at.
Good shortcuts.
Beth?
Okay, final section before we wrap. Let's
Yeah.
do some rapid-fire myth-busting. 5 common health myths the sources debunked. Myth 1, detox teas or juices cleanse your body.
Reality, nope. Your liver and kidneys are amazing natural detoxifiers. They handle it. Save your money.
Myth 2, you absolutely need 10,000 steps a day.
Reality, that number was actually part of a Japanese marketing campaign for a pedometer in the 60s.
So,
Any increase in movement is good. Consistency is key, not the exact number.
Myth 3, eating fat automatically makes you fat.
Reality, healthy fats are essential. Your brain needs them. It's usually excess calories, often from combining processed carbs and unhealthy fats that lead to weight gain.
Myth 4, exercise doesn't count unless it's for at least an hour.
Reality, totally false. Even 10-minute bouts of moderate to vigorous activity have proven benefits for your heart and mood. Short bursts count.
And myth 5, all stress is bad for you.
Reality, short-term stress, that eustress, can actually be beneficial. It sharpens focus, boosts performance. It's the relentless, unmanaged chronic stress that causes harm.
Great summary. Okay, so to pull it all together for you, remember the 5 steps for creating your own flexible wellness plan. Start with a self-assessment. Be honest, but kind to yourself.
Then set SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Makes them concrete.
Third, create your action plan. Include those implementation intentions. Fourth, track your progress, even the small wins. Celebrate them.
And fifth, critically important, adjust the plan. Life changes. Your plan needs to be flexible enough to change with it. And don't hesitate to reach out to pros, registered dietitians, certified trainers, therapists.
So we've walked through these 5 pillars: mindful eating, movement as medicine, restorative sleep, stress resilience, meaningful connections. But the final thought, maybe the most powerful one from the sources, is how deeply interconnected they all are.
Yeah, it's not really 5 separate things. When you improve one area, it almost always lifts the others. It creates this positive ripple effect.
Like fixing your sleep.
Right. If you start sleeping better, your stress hormone cortisol naturally goes down. Lower cortisol makes you less likely to reach for comfort food, gives you more energy to move. See the cascade.
It all links up.
Totally.
So here's something for you to think about as you finish listening.
Right.
Which single pillar, if you put your focus there this week, just one, which one do you think would create the biggest positive ripple effect across your entire sense of well-being right now? Maybe start there.
Welcome to the deep dive. You know, if you've ever felt a bit lost looking at a medical form, or maybe unsure how to talk about your goals at the gym, or even just struggle to explain a weird symptom, well, this deep dive is definitely for you.
It really is. We're not just listing words here.
Yeah.
We're aiming to turn that, often confusing health language, the medical jargon, the insurance stuff, wellness terms, into something you can actually use. Confidence is key.
Exactly. We want you to feel equipped to speak up, understand what you're being told, and really take control. So we've structured this around 3 main areas. First up, what we're calling crisis and care, think doctor's visits, describing symptoms, high-stakes stuff.
Right. Then we'll shift gears into proactive health, fitness, mental wellness, that kind of thing.
And finally, system navigation. We'll try to decode some of that insurance language and cover essential emergency phrases.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, let's dive in. First pillar, communicating with doctors. Precision here is just crucial.
Absolutely. Think about that first phone call, making an appointment. They always ask, what's the nature of your visit? And you need to be clear. Is it just a routine checkup, maybe an annual exam?
Or is it something specific that's come up suddenly, an acute issue?
Exactly. And that leads us to urgency. People mix up urgent and emergency all the time.
Or constantly. So emergency means immediate danger, right? Like chest pain, trouble breathing, serious bleeding.
Yep. That's when you call 911 or 999-112, depending where you are, or head straight to the emergency room, the ER. No delays.
But urgent, that's different. It's important, needs attention soon, but maybe not life-threatening right now.
Precisely. Like a sudden high fever, maybe a cut that probably needs stitches, a suspected sprain or fracture. That's where urgent care centers or walk-in clinics come in handy.
Knowing that difference saves everyone time and keeps the ER free for real emergencies.
Okay, now describing symptoms, especially pain. This is where language gets really vital.
Right. Just saying it hurts isn't very helpful for the doctor, is it?
Not at all. You need adjectives. Is it sharp pain? Like sudden stabbing?
Or more of a dull pain? Kind of constant, but maybe lower intensity?
Then there's throbbing pain. That pulsing feeling, often linked to inflammation.
And burning pain.
Yeah.
Nerve issues often feel like that. Or Heartburn.
And you need to pair that description with intensity. That's the pain scale, 1 to 10.
Ah, yes, the 1 to 10 scale. It always strikes me as so subjective, though. How do doctors account for that? Someone who downplays everything versus someone more expressive.
That's a really good point. It is subjective. That's why doctors often ask follow-up questions about function, like, what can you not do because of the pain?
Okay.
Yeah, an 8 might mean you can hardly move. A 4 means you're uncomfortable but still getting around. So the description, sharp, dull throbbing, adds crucial context beyond just the number.
Got it. And duration matters too, right?
Hugely. Is it intermittent? Does it sort of come and go?
Or is it persistent? Maybe even chronic, meaning it's been going on for a long time, like months.
Exactly. Now, let's get specific. A cough, for instance. Is it a dry cough? No mucus.
Or a productive cough, where you're actually coughing up phlegm or sputum.
And it matters because a productive cough might suggest an infection, while a dry one could be allergies, maybe irritation, completely different treatment paths.
Makes sense. And digestive stuff.
Yeah.
Got to be clear. We all know nausea, feeling like you might vomit, and heartburn.
Sure. But distinguishing constipation, difficulty going from diarrhea, frequent loose stools, is vital for diagnosis.
And don't forget those general feelings, like fatigue, extreme tiredness, or malaise. That's just a general sense of feeling unwell, isn't it?
Yep. Non-specific, but important. Okay, so you've described symptoms, you get a diagnosis. Now what? Treatment talk.
This is where you absolutely have the right to ask questions. If you don't understand something.
Please, don't just nod. Say something like, could you repeat that? Or maybe, could you explain that in simpler terms? It's your health.
Totally. And prescriptions. Oh boy, easy to misunderstand those.
So easy. Take 2 tablets twice daily. You said it earlier, that's 4 pills total each day, not 2.
Right. And the timing instructions are critical. With food means with food. Helps absorption or prevents irritation.
On an empty stomach usually means like an hour before eating or maybe 2 hours after, but the one that really trips people up is PRN.
Ah, yes. PRN stands for pro re nata, means as needed. Sounds simple.
But it's not whenever you feel like it, which is how some people take it.
Right.
PRN means take this only when you have the specific symptom it's for and stick to the maximum dose and frequency. Like pain meds might be PRN, but capped at, say, 4 pills in 24 hours.
Ignoring that cap is dangerous. Could lead to accidental overdose or just not getting enough relief.
Absolutely. And before leaving the doctors, ask about a generic version. Often the same chemically, but much cheaper.
Good tip. And always ask about potential side effects and, crucially, if you're taking anything else, even supplements, ask about drug interactions.
Definitely. Okay, mastering that crisis vocabulary brings us nicely into our second section. Proactive health. Moving from fixing problems to, optimizing things.
Right. Let's hit the gym, metaphorically speaking. Basic terms first. Reps and sets.
Repetitions and sets. So 3 sets of 10 reps means doing the exercise 10 times, resting, doing it 10 more times, resting, and then a final 10. 30 total movements. Pretty simple.
But then there's the more technical stuff for safety and getting results, like form.
Crucial. That's the correct, safe way to do an exercise. Bad form equals injury, eventually.
And if you're lifting heavy, don't be shy about asking someone to spot me. That's just asking for help, right? To catch the weight if you fail.
Exactly. Safety first. And
Yeah.
then goals. Are you trying to bulk up, gain muscle mass?
Or maybe lean out or cut. That's losing fat while keeping muscle definition. Different approaches.
Totally different. And sometimes you hit a plateau where you stop seeing progress. That usually means it's time to switch up your routine or diet.
Speaking of diet, nutrition terms are everywhere. Let's talk macros.
The big 3. Macronutrients. Protein, carbohydrates, and fats. They provide the calories. Getting the balance right is key for body composition goals.
But it's not just about calories, is it? There's the whole nutrient-dense versus calorie-dense thing.
Big difference. Nutrient-dense foods like veggies give you lots of vitamins and minerals for fewer calories. Calorie-dense foods like chips or cookies give you lots of calories, but maybe not much else.
Good distinction.
Okay.
Shifting from physical to mental wellness. Language here is important. Needs to be non-stigmatizing.
Absolutely. First, know who does what. A psychiatrist is an MD, a medical doctor. They can prescribe medication.
Whereas a psychologist or a therapist focuses more on counseling, talk therapy.
Right. And we hear terms like self-care all the time now. It's not just spa days, though those can be nice.
How true. It's about intentionally doing things to protect your mental and physical health.
Which often involves setting boundaries, saying no, protecting your energy, defining what's okay and what's not okay, and how others treat you or what you take on.
That's a big one. And we also talk about coping mechanisms, strategies for handling stress or difficult emotions. Healthy ones, hopefully.
Hopefully. And mindfulness, which is essentially about being present, aware of the moment without getting overwhelmed.
Since we spend so much time working, let's touch on workplace wellness vocabulary.
Good idea. Ergonomics is key. Designing your workspace, your desk, your chair to fit you and prevent strain. Think standing desks, ergonomic chairs.
And for screen time, there's the 20-20-20 rule. Simple but effective for eye strain.
Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. Helps prevent digital eye strain. All these things contribute to burnout prevention.
Okay, makes sense. We've covered symptoms, optimizing health. Now for the often dreaded Section 3, system navigation, bureaucracy time, especially insurance.
Insurance. It seems complex globally, but honestly, a few key terms unlock most of it.
Let's start with the basic cost, the premium.
That's your monthly payment just to have the insurance. You pay it whether you use services or not.
Okay, then there's the deductible.
This is the amount you have to pay out of your own pocket for covered services before the insurance company starts chipping in. Could be a few $100s, could be thousands.
So why would someone pick a plan with a high deductible? Seems risky.
Well, usually a high deductible plan comes with a lower monthly premium. So if you're generally healthy and don't expect many medical bills, you save money month to month.
It's a trade-off. Lower premium now versus potentially higher costs if something happens.
Exactly. If you have ongoing health issues, a lower deductible, even with a higher premium, might save you money overall because the insurance kicks in sooner.
Okay, that clarifies it. Now, how is the deductible different from a copay?
Good question. A copay is a fixed amount you pay for a specific service, like $30 for a doctor's visit or $15 for a prescription. Usually you pay the copay even before you've met your deductible.
Got it. Fixed fee per service.
Oh.
And the safety net term, the out-of-pocket maximum.
This one's really important. It's the absolute most you will pay for covered healthcare expenses in a single year. Once you hit that limit, your insurance generally covers 100% of covered costs for the rest of that year.
That provides some peace of mind against massive bills.
It's designed to. And always check if your doctor or hospital is in-network or out-of-network. Going out-of-network can cost you a lot more.
Key question before any big procedure. Is this covered by my insurance? Is this provider in-network?
You bet. Now, contrasting with that complexity are the emergency phrases. These need to be simple, direct. Know your local number. 911 in North America, 9999 in the UK, 112 in Europe and many other places.
And when you connect, what's the critical info?
Location first, then the nature of the emergency, then the victim's condition. I need an ambulance at address. He's collapsed. She's having trouble breathing. He's unconscious. Short, clear, loud.
No time for rambling.
None. And basic first aid terms everyone should recognize. CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, Heimlich maneuver for choking, and the simplest instruction for bleeding, apply pressure.
Universal stuff. Okay, we've covered a lot. Symptoms, fitness, insurance, emergencies. Let's wrap up with Section 4. Socializing, trends, and self-advocacy, bringing it all together in daily life.
Right. We use health idioms all the time. Someone's fit as a fiddle, they're feeling great.
Feeling under the weather, slightly sick.
And if they're on the mend, they're recovering.
But you also mentioned being careful with comments about appearance, right?
Yeah, it's generally best to avoid commenting on someone's weight or telling them they look tired unless they bring up their health first. It can be well-intentioned, but land badly.
Good social advice. Now, what about all the wellness trends online? Intermittent fasting, keto, paleo, superfoods?
The buzzwords are endless. It's fine to be aware of them, but you need that critical filter.
The filter being the difference between evidence-based claims.
Stuff backed by solid scientific research.
Versus anecdotal stories. You know, my cousin tried this and...
Exactly. Personal stories are just that personal. They aren't proof something works or is safe for everyone. Always look for the evidence.
Which brings us right back to the core idea. Self-advocacy. This vocabulary empowers you to do that.
Absolutely. Now you have the language to say, you know, I'd like a second opinion on that. Or are there other options besides medication we could explore?
Asking questions like, is this supplement FDA approved or verified somehow?
Yeah.
That's crucial for navigating the wellness industry.
It really is. It's about being an active partner in your healthcare, not just a passive recipient. Asking, is this covered by my insurance? Before agreeing to something.
So we've covered the spectrum from describing pain precisely to setting fitness goals, understanding your insurance, and knowing emergency basics.
It's about turning confusion into confidence, complexity into clarity. Understanding instructions, asking the right questions, that's real empowerment for making better health decisions.
Definitely. Okay, we always like to end with a final thought for you to consider.
Yeah, think about this. How much do our cultural backgrounds shape how we even talk about health? We mentioned the pain scale being subjective.
Right. Does your culture encourage being stoic, minimizing discomfort, or being more expressive about it?
That cultural difference can genuinely impact how symptoms are reported and even diagnosed around the world. And it's true for mental health discussions, too.
So understanding that cultural layer, how different people perceive and communicate health and illness, that's maybe the final piece of becoming a truly informed global health citizen.
Well said. Now you've got the tools. Go use them. Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're trying to move past just, information overload. We're focusing on what you actually say when the stakes feel really high. We are definitely wading into some complex territory. The actual language of health advocacy.
Exactly. I mean, whether you're trying to figure out some labyrinthine insurance claim, or maybe you're stepping up for a loved one who's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Or even just, trying to explain a whole bunch of confusing symptoms to a specialist who seems like they're halfway out the door.
Right. Those conversations, they often leave you feeling, pretty powerless, overwhelmed even. So we looked at source material that's really designed to shift the learner, you, from being maybe a passive patient or just a bystander, to becoming an informed, strategic advocate. Our mission today is really to pull out the most potent, the most diplomatic vocabulary you need to navigate these high-pressure, often pretty emotional health situations.
And the big idea here is that this specialized language, it's actually a tool. It's tactical. Having the right words and saying them with confidence, it ensures your voice. And the voice of whoever you're advocating for is actually heard clearly. It helps move the whole thing from just like an emotional reaction to more of a constructive negotiation.
Okay, let's start with section 1 then. This deals with gaining some control in situations that involve, systems. The medical bureaucracy, the financial side, the legal stuff around care.
Right.
First up, advocating for elderly relatives. This often puts you square in that role of being the bridge, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds exhausting, frankly, but also essential.
Oh, it is demanding. And you need phrases that define your role clearly right away for the providers. It sets a kind of professional boundary.
So don't wait to be asked.
No, don't wait. State it firmly. I'm here as my mother's healthcare advocate. Just like that.
Okay. And what about if there's a language barrier? That's incredibly common. Just translating isn't always enough, is it? Especially if the doctor's talking fast.
No, it's not. You have to state the barrier directly. You lead with, she has difficulty expressing herself in English, so I'll be translating. But then the strategic part, the key follow-up, is asking them to adjust their pace. Can you please speak slowly and clearly so I can interpret accurately?
Oh, I like that. It's phrased as a request, but it's really a directive.
Exactly. It's not a plea. It ensures clarity, but it also subtly controls the pace for everyone involved. It holds them accountable for how they communicate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the source material also really stresses that good advocacy needs cultural competence. Sometimes a family's way of making decisions clashes with how maybe a provider expects things to work.
Right, more individualistic, perhaps.
Precisely. So you might need to deploy a statement like, in our culture, we typically make these decisions as a family. And then right away, you ask, are there culturally sensitive options available that accommodate this approach?
So you're showing respect, but also making sure the patient's background is actually part of the plan.
Exactly. Honored, not ignored.
Okay, let's tackle the dreaded one. Health insurance claims and appeals. This feels like it needs really advanced, specific language because you're basically challenging a system that's kind of designed to say no.
It also feels that way, yeah. If a claim gets denied, you absolutely have to move past the frustration and use their specific documented language. Don't just call up angry.
Right.
You need to say, clearly, I'd like to file a formal appeal for a denied claim. And crucially, you need their reason in their terms. So demand clarity. Can you explain precisely why this was deemed not medically necessary? Use their jargon back at them.
Okay, not medically necessary. Got it. Now, what's fascinating in the source is this idea of tactical maneuvers, things that bypass the usual runaround, like requesting a peer review. That sounds effective, but also like you're escalating things.
It is an escalation, yeah, but sometimes a necessary one. All right, it's powerful because it changes who reviews the claim.
Well,
Most initial denials might come from, say, desk reviewers, maybe not even clinicians. They're looking at codes, maybe basic cost stuff. Requesting a peer review forces the insurance company to have an actual medical doctor evaluate the claim against your doctor's clinical reasoning.
Ah, so it brings it back to the medicine, not just the codes.
Exactly. It moves the goalposts back towards clinical relevance. So yeah, there's a risk and escalation, but the potential reward getting a doctor, not an administrator, to look at it is often worth it.
Okay. And knowing the timelines is key too, right?
Absolutely essential. You have to ask about the timeline for the appeals process. And if the situation is critical, if treatment is time sensitive, you need to ask specifically about an expedited appeal process for urgent situations.
Wow. So you really need to know their rule book almost better than they expect you to.
That's the goal.
Okay. Shifting from bureaucracy to maybe challenging an expert directly. Let's talk about diplomatically disagreeing with medical advice. The source had a role-play scenario for this.
Right. And the strategy here is all about respect plus firmness. You acknowledge their expertise, their training, absolutely.
You don't want to alienate them.
No. But you firmly ask for alternatives that align better with your priorities. So if a doctor recommends something invasive, like surgery, don't just shut it down. Engage strategically.
Okay, how?
You could say something like, I appreciate your recommendation, doctor, but I'd really like to explore less invasive options first. What alternatives exist for us to try before we consider that next step?
That immediately frames you differently, doesn't it? As a collaborator, not just resistant.
Precisely. And then you can propose a more measured approach with that critical follow-up. Can we create a plan together, maybe with clear benchmarks to track progress?
Benchmarks. I like that.
Yeah, it shows you're serious. You're ready to be accountable for trying the alternative, maybe more conservative plan first. The subtle shift. You're not saying no to their expertise. You're saying yes to a phased, accountable approach that maybe prioritizes your comfort or minimizes risk first.
Okay, that brings us nicely into section 2. Mastering tact and clear communication around sensitive personal health info, whether that's with your doctor or, maybe a boss or colleague.
Right.
Let's look at complex appointments first. The common situation where a patient comes in with multiple things going on, say they've got persistent fatigue, recurring headaches, and a family history of diabetes. It's a lot to unload.
It is. And the key insight here is prioritization and clarity. Doctors, they can get overwhelmed too, sometimes called alert fatigue if they just get hit with a long list.
So you need to organize it for them.
Pretty much. Start with what worries you most, the most serious or pressing concern. Then connect it to relevant history if you can.
So instead of just, I'm tired all the time and my head hurts.
Right. Try something like, the persistent fatigue is my main concern right now, especially because there's a family history of diabetes. And I'm wondering if it could be related to these recurring headaches I've been having.
Ah, okay. That guides them, doesn't it? Towards maybe more comprehensive testing.
Exactly. And then you can even strategically suggest or ask for, say, a comprehensive panel, including blood sugar levels. It helps ensure all the bases get covered instead of maybe the doctor just focusing on the headache as one isolated thing.
Right, getting the whole picture. That level of organization, yeah, it could be the difference between just getting a painkiller and actually getting a proper diagnosis.
That's often the case.
Now, let's talk about the workplace. Health and privacy there.
It's such a delicate balance, right? You might need to disclose something, but you don't want to overshare.
Absolutely. If your health impacts your work, you have to be specific enough for them to understand the need. But yeah, boundary setting is key.
So what are the key phrases for the necessity part? If you need an accommodation, for instance.
You use formal, sort of non-emotional language that triggers HR processes, like, I need to formally request a reasonable accommodation for a health condition.
Okay. Formal request.
Or if it's about time off or flexibility. Discussing flexible working arrangements during my recovery period. Keep it professional. But then there's the privacy side. What if your boss, or maybe a well-meaning but nosy colleague, starts pressing for details? How do you politely but firmly shut that down?
The boundary phrases. These are absolutely essential. You need to manage curiosity without, burning bridges.
Right.
State clearly. I prefer not to discuss the specifics, but I do have documentation from my doctor outlining any necessary restrictions or the recovery timeline.
That gives them what they need to know for work without giving them the personal stuff.
Precisely. It draws a clear line.
And what about discussing colleagues' health? The source had some, pretty strict but wise advice here. We've all been tempted, maybe, when someone looks unwell.
Yes, and the source really emphasizes avoiding that kind of speculative judgment, especially phrases like, oh, he looks terrible. It's just unprofessional and, frankly, unhelpful.
So what's the respectful way?
Keep it non-judgmental. Simple things like, please send them my best wishes, or maybe offering practical support, like covering some workload if appropriate. But the absolute non-negotiable rule from the source: never, ever share someone else's health information without their explicit, informed permission.
Yeah, that's huge. A massive breach of trust. Could even be legal trouble.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move to a topic that requires maybe even more tact because it touches on such deep personal and societal stuff. Weight, body image, and having sensitive health conversations around that.
Yes. This area requires real awareness, including some of the more progressive vocabulary, knowing terms like health at every size,
Right.
understanding what weight stigma actually means, recognizing potential fat phobia, even in medical settings. This helps you kind of preemptively set boundaries. It's not just academic. It's about recognizing that bias here can genuinely lead to worse medical outcomes.
So how does knowing those terms translate into practical language you can use if a doctor seems overly focused on weight, maybe ignoring other symptoms?
It empowers you to redirect the conversation, to shift the clinical focus away from just the scale. If weight comes up constantly, you can pivot.
How? Give me an example.
You could say something like, actually, I'm currently focusing on health behaviors. Things like improving my nutrition and getting more activity rather than focusing on the number on the scale.
That sounds productive. Yeah. It steers it towards action, not just a number.
Exactly. And if you have a personal history, maybe like disordered eating, that makes weight discussions actively harmful for you, you must use that firm boundary phrase.
Okay.
Something like, I have a history of disordered eating, so I respectfully request that we stick to discussing my specific symptoms and test results today. That sets a clear clinical boundary based on your well-being. It's about safety.
Okay, shifting gears now into section 3. Health literacy in this, very modern age. We need vocabulary not just for talking to doctors, but for navigating all the external stuff too. Information overload, digital health tech, environmental worries.
Yeah, the landscape has gotten complicated.
Let's start with challenging health misinformation. This feels like a huge issue now with social media and everything.
It's a massive challenge, absolutely. And how you bring up something you read online with a health professional really determines whether you'll get a helpful explanation or just get dismissed.
You can't just walk in and say, you're wrong, I saw this on TikTok.
Definitely not. You can't attack their expertise. The key is framing the inquiry politely, respectfully.
Okay, so what's the framework? How do you ask without putting them on the defensive?
You start by acknowledging their position, maybe admitting your own confusion. The framework could be something like, yeah, I read something different online about whatever the topic is, X treatment. Could you help me understand the difference between that approach and the one you're recommending?
Okay. Or maybe simpler.
Or even just, what's your perspective on this recent trend I've been seeing? It opens the door for them to educate you without feeling personally challenged.
Right. And knowing the difference between terms like peer-reviewed research, which means it's been seriously vetted, right?
Yeah.
Versus something that's just called evidence-based, which sounds good but might be softer. Or just anecdotal, which is basically just someone's story.
Exactly. Knowing those distinctions empowers you to evaluate sources better even before you talk to the doctor.
Right.
And if you're trying to correct someone else, like a friend or family member who's maybe promoting misinformation, the rule is always respect. Attacking their belief just makes them dig your heels in. Try something disarming like, I can see why you might think that, but actually, the latest science seems to suggest looking at it from a slightly different angle.
Yeah, gentle correction.
Okay.
Let's shift to external factors then. Environmental concerns affecting health. What's the vocabulary we need there to advocate for, say, a cleaner home or community environment?
Right. This moves beyond just your personal medical chart into environmental vigilance. So when you're discussing risks at home or asking health questions related to environment, key vocabulary might include things like testing for radon, expressing concerns about pesticide exposure in food, asking about the impact of microplastics in food and water. You might also hear or need to use phrases like reducing endocrine disruptors from things like plastics or household products.
Using those terms shows you're informed about these broader systemic risks, not just individual symptoms.
Precisely.
And then there's digital health. Our smartwatches, our apps, they give us so much data. But how do we translate that into a useful conversation with the doctor using the right words?
Yeah, you might want to discuss specific data points like maybe your heart rate variability trends, if you track that as it relates to stress or recovery.
Or sleep.
Or specific patterns like a lack of deep sleep showing up consistently. Maybe results from a continuous glucose monitor if you use one. The mistake is presenting this data like it's already a diagnosis.
Right. So present the data as observations, things you've noticed, not as your own medical conclusions.
Exactly. The source material was really clear on this. Technology supports, it informs, but it absolutely does not replace professional medical advice.
Your watch doesn't have an MD.
Your watch doesn't have an MD, exactly. You use the vocabulary and the data to start the conversation, maybe point them in a direction, not to finish it.
Okay, makes sense. Finally, we get to end-of-life care. This is obviously incredibly difficult, but such an essential conversation. It needs absolute clarity, absolute compassion, especially when families are under immense emotional stress.
Mm-hmm. And the right phrases here are crucial for ensuring dignity and making sure the patient's wishes are respected, even if they can no longer speak for themselves. The core conversation really revolves around discussing advance directives.
Right. And just to clarify for listeners, an advance directive isn't just about saying, don't treat me, is it?
No, not at all. It's the legal document that basically formalizes your voice, your preferences for future care. When things get stressful, it stops the family from having to guess what you would have wanted regarding, say, aggressive treatments.
Remove a huge burden.
A huge burden. You also need to understand terms like palliative care, which is really important. It focuses on managing symptoms, pain, quality of life, often alongside curative treatment, or when cure isn't the goal.
Okay, and that's distinct from?
Distinct from the more absolute term, comfort care only, which usually means stopping life-sustaining measures and focusing purely on comfort.
Right, which all kind of ladders up to that key goal phrase the source mentioned, quality of life is our primary concern now.
Exactly. That phrase helps shift the focus. It moves away from maybe prolonging life at any cost towards maximizing the patient's comfort, dignity, and peace in their remaining time.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. And I think what really comes through is that language, the right words, it's really a tool for control, isn't it?
It really is.
The negotiation tactics for advocacy, the precision needed for sensitive conversations, the critical thinking skills for health literacy in this modern world. This knowledge feels like a genuinely potent tool for getting better health outcomes for yourself and for your family.
Absolutely. And connecting this vocabulary, this knowledge, to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That's where real advocacy can start to make a broader difference.
How so?
Well, the source material really emphasizes understanding concepts like health equity versus health disparities, knowing the difference.
Okay.
To be a true advocate, not just for yourself, but maybe for your community, the source argues you need to grasp things like social determinants of health.
Right. Understanding how things like income, where you live, access to good food, how much that impacts health, often more than just genetics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Far more. And recognizing that the system itself isn't always neutral.
Yeah.
Understanding the importance of cultural competence in healthcare providers and recognizing potential implicit bias within the system. These are essential. So your improved language skills, they're not just for self-care. They become the tools you can use to challenge some of those systemic barriers, advocating for better health for everyone.
I really like that final point, using language not just personally, but as a tool for maybe pushing for systemic change. Powerful. Okay, so the source leaves us with this provocative thought to kind of mull over. Health and language are both journeys, not destinations. So if you, listening, now have some of this specialized vocabulary, you know how to challenge a denial, how to maybe disagree respectfully with a recommendation, how to define your boundaries with tact, understand the difference between an appeal and just a complaint.
Yeah.
The question is, what is the next challenging health conversation you are going to intentionally seek out? To actually practice this new powerful level of advocacy, go practice those power phrases. Okay, have you ever been in a situation where, I don't know, a gym instructor is just yelling acronyms and you're completely lost? Or maybe scrolled past some nutrition advice online and thought, wow, that sounds intense.
Or opened a health insurance statement and just wanted to immediately close your eyes again.
Exactly. That's the thing. Health and wellness, it's not just complicated. It's swimming in this jargon. It can make you feel like you're totally on the outside looking in.
Yeah, we get hit with all this specialized language, right? Like CBT, ketosis, Deductible, anyway, it's a lot.
It really is. So we figured the only way to sort of cut through all that noise is to get a handle on the language itself. We took a really deep dive into this huge vocabulary guide. I think it covered something like 25 different areas of health, fitness, lifestyle.
Wow, yeah. Comprehensive.
Right. So our mission today really is to pull out the absolute essentials, the high impact words. We want to give you the confidence, to talk to your doctor effectively, to figure out which wellness trends are legit, and maybe even understand those insurance forms without getting a headache.
Sounds like a plan. Because you really do deserve to be, an informed participant in your own health journey.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into the language that defines your well-being.
It's interesting. The source material suggests we actually need to start not with the body, but more with the mindset, the philosophy behind it all.
Okay, how so?
Well, if you don't get the foundational ideas, the core vocabulary, you'll just end up, chasing the latest fad diet or workout craze. We need to shift from just reacting when we get sick to actually proactively thriving. And that starts with understanding a couple of key terms. First, the difference between well-being and wellness.
Ah, yes. They sound similar, but they're not quite the same, are they?
Not exactly. Well-being is like your overall state. It includes happiness, your social life, your sense of purpose. It's big picture. Wellness, on the other hand, is usually defined more narrowly as just the state of being physically healthy.
Right. And I think the source pointed out that wellness is the one that gets commercialized a lot, like wellness packages or retreats.
Exactly. That's the trap. Wellness can become a product you buy. Well-being is more like the ongoing pursuit. You can't just buy it off a shelf.
Makes sense. And fueling both of those is vitality.
Yeah, that's your energy, your life force, that ability to actually enjoy life. If you get the philosophy right, vitality tends to follow.
And the big philosophy word everyone throws around is holistic.
Yeah, we hear it constantly. But the core meaning is specific. Treating the whole person, mind, body, spirit, the lot.
But there's a catch there too, isn't there?
Well, yeah, the source makes a great point. The irony is that while holistic means looking at everything, sometimes modern holistic practices can get super focused on just one thing, like only gut health or only hormones.
Ah, so they kind of create a new type of narrow focus, even while claiming to be holistic.
Precisely. They can still miss the bigger picture. It's easy to get tunnel vision.
Okay. So holistic is key. What else forms that foundation?
Prevention. Simple idea, but crucial. Stopping problems before they start. And then when we think about how we approach health goals, the idea of moderation, just avoiding the extremes.
Right, not swinging wildly from one thing to another.
Exactly. You're going to integrate those ideas, holistic, prevention, moderation. You're building a positive lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's about your habits, how you live day to day, not just relying on quick fixes.
Okay, that foundation makes a lot of sense, but it's hard to practice moderation if your diet feels like total chaos, is fair. Let's get into the language of food. That's where things can get really dogmatic.
Oh, definitely. Nutrition is loaded with jargon. It always starts with nutrients. You've got your macronutrients, everyone knows carbs, proteins, fats. Big three. Yeah. But focusing on function helps. Carbs give energy. Proteins are the building blocks for muscle repair and stuff. But often, we overlook the power of the micronutrients.
Vitamins and minerals, the small stuff that makes a big difference.
Exactly. And increasingly, we're hearing about internal helpers, too. These are terms you really need if you're talking to a nutritionist or reading labels.
Like what?
Two big ones are antioxidants and probiotics. Antioxidants are crucial because they fight cell damage. They neutralize those things called free radicals.
Okay. And probiotics, that's the gut health connection.
The good bacteria. Really important for keeping your digestive system happy and strong.
Got it. Now, it's not just what's in the food, but how it gets to us. The source made a really important distinction here between whole foods and processed foods.
Yeah, this is fundamental. Whole foods are basically food in its natural state or very close to it. Think an apple, a chicken breast, nuts.
Right.
Exactly. And the opposite is processed foods, which have been changed, often significantly, from their natural state. Usually involves adding sugar, salt, unhealthy fats, preservatives.
Okay. And that ties directly into calorie quality, right? People obsess over calories, but not all calories are equal.
Not at all. That's where empty calories comes in. Calories that give you energy, but almost zero nutritional value. Think soda or candy. The opposite is nutrient-dense food.
Which means?
High in nutrients, vitamins, minerals, fiber relative to the number of calories. Think leafy greens, berries, lean protein. That's what gives you sustained energy and health benefits.
Okay, quick fire round then. The big diet trends you see everywhere. We need the basic definitions. Keto.
Ketogenic, yeah. Super low carb, high fat. Put your body into a state called ketosis, where it burns fat for fuel instead of carbs.
Intermittent fasting.
That's about when you eat, not what. You cycle between periods of eating and voluntary fasting. Specific time windows.
And plant-based. That's different from vegan, right?
It is. Plant-based primarily focuses on foods from plants, fruits, veggies, grains, legumes, but doesn't necessarily exclude all animal products, unlike veganism or vegetarianism, which have stricter rules. It's more of a focus.
Gotcha. Okay, last bit on food, our relationship with it, the behavioral side.
Right. Big contrast here. Mindful eating versus emotional eating.
Explain those.
Mindful eating is just paying full attention when you eat. Noticing the taste, texture, your body's signals, eating without distraction. Emotional eating is using food to cope with feelings, stress, boredom, sadness, instead of actual physical hunger.
We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. And then there's the push towards intuitive eating.
Which is?
Listening to your own body, eating based on your internal hunger and fullness cues, rather than following strict diet rules or counting every single calorie. It's about trusting your body's wisdom.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift gears. From the kitchen to the gym floor, fitness has its own dictionary too.
It really does. First step is just knowing the main types of exercise, usually broken down into a few categories. First up, cardio or cardiovascular exercise. Anything that gets your heart rate up and improves heart health. This often falls under the umbrella of endurance training, which is all about building stamina.
Jogging, swimming, cycling, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Second category, strength training, sometimes called resistance training. This is about building muscle, using weights, resistance bands, even just your body weight.
Push-ups, squats, lifting weights.
And the third one, which I think is maybe the most important for daily life, is functional fitness.
Okay, what's that?
It's training using movements that directly help you with everyday activities. Think exercises that mimic lifting groceries, getting up off the floor, reaching for something high up.
So it makes real life easier, not just about looking buff.
Precisely. It directly impacts your quality of life right away.
Okay, now the acronyms and gym jargon. HIIT.
High-intensity interval training. You hear it everywhere. Short, really intense bursts of exercise, followed by brief recovery periods. It's efficient, but demanding.
And the difference between aerobic and anaerobic?
It's about oxygen. Aerobic exercise is steady, like a long run or bike ride, where your body uses oxygen to produce energy. You can sustain it for a while.
Okay.
Anaerobic is short, explosive effort, like sprinting or lifting a very heavy weight. Your body produces energy without sufficient oxygen, so you can only do it for a very short time before you fatigue.
Got it. Now, basic gym floor stuff. Reps and sets. Most people probably know this.
Yeah, reps are repetitions, how many times you do an exercise in a row. Sets are groups of those reps, like 3 sets of 10 reps. Pretty standard.
But what about actually talking to people in the gym? That can be intimidating.
Totally. Knowing a couple of key phrases makes a huge difference. If you're lifting heavy weights, you need to know how to ask, "Can you spot me?"
Meaning?
Asking someone to stand by and help you lift the weight if you struggle or fail. It's purely about safety.
Crucial. Okay, what else?
If someone's using equipment you want to use, the polite way is to ask, "Can I work in?" That just means you'll alternate sets with them, sharing the machine.
Good gym etiquette. Knowing those two probably solves most awkward moments.
Absolutely. Takes away a lot of the anxiety.
Okay, let's talk goals. People use different terms. Bulk up.
Means trying to gain significant muscle mass, getting bigger.
Cut or lean out.
That's the opposite usually. Trying to lose body fat while keeping the muscle you have to look more defined.
All right. But what about tone up? The source mentioned this one is a bit misleading.
Yeah, it is, technically. Toning isn't really a physiological process. Muscles don't tone like tuning a guitar. You can make them bigger, hypertrophy, or smaller, atrophy, and you can reduce the fat covering them.
So when people say they want to tone up,
what they usually mean physiologically is they want to lose some body fat and maybe build a little bit of muscle so the muscles there become more visible and feel firmer. It's more of a cosmetic goal description than a technical term, often used in marketing.
That's a really useful clarification. Cleans up some confusion there. Okay, let's make a big pivot now to probably the most critical communication area, healthcare and mental well-being. Getting the language right with doctors is vital.
Absolutely critical. First thing is understanding time frames. Is your issue acute or chronic?
Difference being.
Acute means it came on Suddenly, it's usually severe, but likely short-term, like a sudden injury or illness. Chronic means it's persistent, long-lasting, maybe developing slowly, and often needs ongoing management. Think arthritis or diabetes.
And saying I have this chronic dull ache is way more helpful than just my back hurts.
Infinitely more helpful. And speaking of pain, using specific descriptors is key. Is it sharp pain or a dull pain, like a constant ache? Does it feel like it's throbbing? Or maybe a burning sensation. Each gives clues.
Right, but the most practical tool, the pain scale.
Yes, you absolutely need to be comfortable using the 1 to 10 scale. Being able to say, the pain is about a 7 out of 10 right now gives your doctor immediate context for severity and urgency.
And maybe the most empowering phrase for any patient. If a doctor uses jargon you don't understand.
Just ask. Say, can you explain that in simpler terms? Seriously. Never, ever leave a doctor's office confused about your own health. It's your right to understand.
So important. Okay, shifting slightly to mental health support, there's language there too.
Mm-hmm. Therapy or counseling generally refers to talking with a trained professional. And one common approach you hear about is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
What does that do?
It helps you identify and change negative or unhelpful thought patterns and behaviors. Very practical, goal-oriented usually.
And for managing things ourselves, our own mental toolkit.
Key terms there are coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Those are the strategies you use, healthy or unhealthy, to deal with stress or difficult emotions.
Like going for a run versus, say, stress eating.
Exactly. Also crucial is setting boundaries. Knowing your personal limits with work, relationships, demands on your time, and enforcing them prevents burnout.
And the ability to bounce back.
That's resilience. Your capacity to recover from difficulties, to adapt to challenges. Building resilience is a huge long-term mental health goal.
And all of this physical health, mental health, is deeply connected to sleep.
Absolutely. We talk about sleep hygiene, which just means the habits and practices you put in place to ensure good quality sleep, like having a consistent bedtime, a dark, cool room.
That relates to our internal clock, right? The circadian rhythm.
Exactly. That's your body's natural 24-hour cycle that regulates sleepiness and wakefulness.
And what disrupts that cycle or helps it?
Well, the hormone melatonin is key for signaling sleep time to your brain. Your body naturally produces it when it gets dark. But blue light, the kind emitted from phones, tablets, computers.
Oh.
Yeah, that blue light actually suppresses melatonin production. It tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime, which makes it harder to fall asleep. Big problem in our screen-heavy lives.
Definitely something to be mindful of. Okay, last big section. Let's tackle the language of modern pressures, stress, insurance, and some current trends. Stress first, same time frames apply.
Yep. Acute stress is that short-term, immediate response. Your heart pounds before a presentation, or if you nearly have an accident, it passes.
Okay.
Chronic stress is the damaging kind. It's long-term, ongoing pressure, maybe from a toxic job, financial worries, relationship problems. It grinds you down.
And what's happening inside our bodies during stress?
Biologically, it's largely driven by cortisol, often called the primary stress hormone. A surge of cortisol triggers the fight or flight response.
Useful if you're facing a tiger.
Exactly. But really bad if it's constantly triggered by emails or traffic jams. That chronic activation wears the body out.
Okay. Now for the final boss battle, insurance terms. This is where people just glaze over, but it's so financially important.
It really is. Let's break it down simply. The premium, that's just your regular payment, usually monthly, to keep the insurance policy active, like a subscription fee.
Got it. Pay this, or you don't have coverage. Now, the deductible. This one trips people up.
It does. Think of the deductible as the amount you have to pay out of your own pocket for covered healthcare services before your insurance company starts paying its share.
So if my deductible is $1,000, I pay the first $1,000 of medical bills myself?
Pretty much, for most services covered under that deductible. And crucially, as the source notes, this deductible usually resets every year, often January 1st.
That annual reset is huge. It affects timing for procedures sometimes.
Definitely. Then you have the copay, or copayment. This is a flat fee you pay for certain services at the time you receive them, like $20 for a doctor visit or $10 for a prescription.
Okay, fixed amount per service.
Mm-hmm. And the best term in the whole insurance dictionary, the out-of-pocket maximum.
Safety net.
Exactly. This is the absolute most you'll have to pay for covered services in a plan year. Once you're spending on deductibles, copays, and another thing called coinsurance hits this maximum amount, the insurance company pays 100% of the cost for covered benefits for the rest of that year. It protects you from catastrophic costs.
Understanding that is incredibly important for financial peace of mind. Okay, finally, just a quick look at some current wellness trends and buzzwords. biohacking?
It's a broad term. Generally means using science, tech, nutrition, whatever methods to try and optimize your body's performance or health. Can range from simple dietary changes to using wearable tech.
All right. And then two approaches to medicine that sound similar: functional medicine and integrative health.
They often get confused. Functional medicine really focuses on finding the root cause of a disease or symptom, often looking at systems biology, genetics, lifestyle factors. It's about asking why you have the problem.
Okay. Root cause focus and integrative health.
Integrative health or medicine is more about combining conventional Western medical treatments, like drugs and surgery, with complementary therapies that have evidence behind them. Could be acupuncture, yoga, meditation, nutrition counseling, into a single coordinated care plan, using the best of both worlds.
Got it. Wow, okay. That was quite the tour through the health and wellness lexicon. Hopefully, though, for you listening, this gives you that essential toolkit. You can go from feeling like an outsider to being a really well-informed participant, whether you're at the gym, the doctors, or just reading an article online.
Yeah, being able to understand and use these terms, it really is powerful. You know that old saying, health is wealth? The source brought that up, and it's true in a literal sense here. Having the vocabulary to navigate your health is a valuable asset.
Absolutely. And while a lot of these terms help us deal with immediate, acute issues, I think the real payoff, the provocative thought here, is how this language empowers us to manage long-term chronic conditions and really focus on things like longevity, living a longer life, but more importantly, improving our overall quality of life for all those years.
That's the goal, right? It's not just about avoiding sickness today, but building a foundation for sustained well-being. And now that you have these terms, the source had a great suggestion. And actively try to use them this week, maybe in a conversation, maybe just thinking about your own habits. Practice is what builds that confidence and makes the knowledge stick.
Great advice. Go out there and speak the language of well-being.